Hey everyone, thanks for joining today. Hope everybody is doing well. I know we'll probably have a couple folks come in, maybe a couple of minutes later, but just for the sake of time, we'll go ahead and get things started. So first, wanted to thank everybody for joining here today. Obviously, there's a pretty big interest in this. People are interested in learning about AI or how it relates to marketing, obviously, but just AI in general, because I have a thought about this. I think that there's a lot of like overhype about AI. It's like, oh, it's going to take everybody's jobs, it's going to do all this stuff. That's not really the way that I like to look at it. I like to look at it, okay, here's what a tool that I can use to grow my practice and just grow my business in general, but whether it's like running things more effectively or if it's just, from like a marketing perspective. But we'll go ahead and dive in here. So, firstly, my name is Drew. I'm the practice growth advisor here, and we meet with folks, a couple times a week and things like that. So, okay, so a couple of bullet points that I have here to start off. So, 67% of practices struggle with consistent lead generation. So, this is really big. I mean, even if somebody has a good amount of leads coming in, or if they're happy with the folks that they work with, there's always room to grow. There's always room to improve. And when I sit down with people, a couple times a week, that's typically something that comes up. They're saying, I want to get more leads, more and better is typically what they like to say. So drawing in the right type of leads is obviously going to be essential to continue to grow your practice. And then marketing taking away 15 to 20 hours per week for most practice owners. So if you're an attorney thinking about that, I don't know if the people on here are spending that much time with their marketing side, but if you could turn those extra hours into more billable hours, whatever you bill per hour and make more money doing that, you can focus more on your clients instead of just focusing on trying to market and grow. It's a lot of hats to wear. So that's something to keep in mind as well. And then 80% of professional services websites fail to convert. So we do live in an age, and I'm guilty of it. I'm sure people on here are guilty of it as well. There's super short attention span sometimes. So if you are going to like a website and you don't find what you're looking for immediately, oftentimes we're just going to kind of sign back off or go look somewhere else. So that's a pretty big number. The websites need to look professional, and they also need to be more engaging, because if they can't find what they're looking for, that's like somebody who was potentially going to be a client, but then they just went somewhere else because they weren't able to find what they were looking for. And then competition increasing while traditional referral sources decline. This is another big thing that when I'm talking to people, this is something common that comes up. So when I'm talking to somebody, they say, what are your sources for generating leads? And oftentimes they say, we're strictly like word of mouth, which is fine, right? I mean, that means that you do a good job for your clients and everything like that. But if you're able to combine an organic approach along with the word of mouth referrals, I think that that's what can really give you the growth that you're looking for, because we know that traditional referral sources in terms of word of mouth, it's not always the most reliable. Maybe some months it's better than others, or the time of year, whatever the case is. But we're really trying to attack this from a couple different angles, and some of the AI examples that we're going to show just kind of ramp all of these different things up. So AI is revolutionizing how practices convert and retain clients. So like I said, the best way to look at AI is to say this is a tool, because I think people overhype it a lot. Oh, it's going to take everybody's jobs, all this stuff. Especially that wouldn't be true for the people on this call, like doctors and lawyers. I don't see AI overtaking that anytime soon. So perfect practices work smarter, not harder. I'm actually a believer of working smarter and working harder, but I do think, we have here the old way is more hours and more profit. Obviously you have to work hard, but I think that in today's age, whether it's whatever you're running, if you're a doctor or lawyer, you're going to have the right systems in place compared to just trying to work as many, hours as you can without a real strategy to actually move things forward. So ultimately, having better systems is going to equal more profit for you with your business. So the AI advantage. So, I mean, utilizing AI, it goes further than just the marketing, which is a piece that we're going to talk about here today and some of the examples with that. But, your operations streamlined through intelligent automation. So this is another great way to utilize AI, is to help your systems and procedures when it comes to your business. And then also, your sales enhanced through AI powered insights. So keeping track of the things when it comes to the revenue of your business. Am I down? Am I up? Things like that. and then marketing amplified through AI efficiency. So I think AI is like, it's just a great way to for you to become more effective in what you do and ultimately allow you to focus on, running your practice or whatever the case is compared to just focusing on all this different stuff. So we have four ways that when it comes to AI growing your practice. So the first thing, content and SEO. So AI can write and repurpose and like optimize your content. If, for example, we have a podiatrist, so if they're on a heel pain blog for 10 social posts, a video and email sequence within 15 minutes using like we use a custom chat GPT for that. So you're able to really do a lot of different things at once. It can turn into, like I said, 10 different social media posts, video, and email sequence. So it's really just gathering that information for you compared to you having to siphon through it and then post all these different things. It's just taking the stuff you already have and making it, more efficient for you. And then lead generation and conversion. So AI capturing and qualifying leads. I talked about this a little bit on the first slide. So 80% of leads not converting. So I think the reason a lot of the times is people aren't converting is because they get onto the website and then they don't find what they're looking for and there is no engagement, right? So an example we have here is having like an AI chatbot for screening questions, setting up a scheduling a consultation. I know people don't always like talking if they feel like they're talking to a bot, but if it's engaging enough to answer their questions, I think it's a much higher chance to actually convert. And then like a competitive advantage. So see what your competitors aren't seeing, right? Understanding your market, understanding your clients better, something to take a look at. We're partners with somebody called Veritech AI, and this auto reads medical records and files. It basically just all of like your court documents and that type of thing. It summarizes them for you, so you're not actually siphoning through it, which will just make your life obviously a lot easier. So you don't have to go through all that paperwork. And then efficiency and scaling, growing without burnout. And we talked about this. I mean, obviously, the people that are on this call, you're looking to grow your business, be more effective and things like that. But you trying to wonder, okay, well, how do I actually do that? And I'm sure you're busy with your clients, whether you're a lawyer meeting somebody or if you're a doctor meeting with patients, that's probably going to take up a lot of your time. So how can I actually utilize AI or work with a partner that's going to actually help you scale and grow things out? So what we have on this one, so how a single idea turns into a month of marketing with AI. So utilizing AI to come up with different ideas and concepts for your business. Because doing like regular content, I think with AI, you want to be able to utilize it to help you write things, but also just make sure that you're still writing and being engaged with the information as well. So one prompt given to Chat GPT, heel pain after running or statute of limitations for dog bites. So when a prompt comes up, right, you're basically just keeping in mind, okay, this is like AI powered content creation. So if you put some like you said, one of these prompts here, if somebody has heel pain after running or statute of limitations on dog bites, whatever they're searching, utilizing that to whether it's to create another blog article, social media posts. We like to do the voiceovers, the newsletters, and DSS is a platform that we have internally. So you're not saying that you're going to use AI to write everything, but it's a good tool to kind of really get the ball rolling and you kind of make the changes that you want. Or we have a team of staff on writers too that we can help out. And once we understand your business, get you that right content that you're looking for. And then lead generation and conversion. So the challenge, like we already talked about, converting a website into qualified leads. So AI systems that engage, qualify, and nurture your the people that come to your website, and then overall you're going to have higher conversion rates with less manual effort. So we have a couple case evaluators or calculators, I'm sorry, that we use for our clients. So if somebody comes to their website and they put in, a series of information about what their situation is, it will give them some type of calculation that allows you to, see, okay, is this somebody that's potentially going to be worth working with? And then if you're, a doctor, like a medical system assessment. So when they go to your website, there'll be like a prompt or a calculator to show, okay, these are the symptoms that I'm having, and these are the potential treatments. Because I think, like I said earlier, when somebody comes to a website and they can't find what they're looking for, they're going to switch off it very quickly, right? So, and then when it comes to the qualification process, AI scores, leads based on case treatment and value. So, and then automatically routes like urgent cases. So if something comes in, it will route you if it's like something that's urgent that can get you in touch with them. That's a way that it could do it as well. And then nurturing prospects with relevant content. So we talked a little bit about this already with the AI chatbot capability. So this, I would say, is probably one of the most effective tools that you could implement when it comes to your website because it will allow somebody to at least be engaged to some degree. I mean, like I said, not everybody's going to always like talking to a chatbot. I mean, I think we kind of know what that looks like, right? But if it actually gives me the answers and the information that I'm looking for, then it's worth it because it's actually being engaged. And then like having like a legal or medical question, whether you have questions in place to find out if this is a good patient or if it's a good client for you to work for, it kind of filter those out. Because one thing that I hear from people, especially lawyers sometimes, is they the people that they're calling in, there's not always the best people for them to work for. So the more that they can be filtered out beforehand, the better conversations you're gonna have, because there's not the worst if you're trying to keep talking to these people and doing consultations and they know that they're not even a fit, because it ends up just wasting everybody's time. And then having multi-language support for diverse markets. So I don't know if you're close to the border and there's like a Hispanic speaking population. You could utilize it for that as well. So it's just something easy for somebody to engage to, because a lot of Spanish speaking folks, that's obviously, if they can't connect with you, then they're going to go somewhere else where they can actually, talk to somebody. And then personalized content recommendations, and then behavioral trigger responses. So basically what this stuff is just once you kind of get some data put together with how this stuff comes up, you can recommend certain things with what the prompts that they kind of put in there. And then, yeah, so don't miss any more leads even while you're sleeping. So this is like, I mean, a common theme that we're talking about here is making sure that the leads are converting, because the people that come to your website, right, those are obviously potential customers. I mean, the ones that found you because they were like a word of mouth referral and they came to your website, they already know who you are, right? But understanding this conversion piece, this is for the people who don't actually know, who you are, and they're just looking for some extra information. So what, like a couple examples that we have here. So our form that we have on DSS, which is our software platform that we manage all of our marketing stuff from, adding that with the CRM trigger, it can do like an automatic tag and filtering for, in relation to email marketing. And then over here, we have for law firms. So, an AI chatbot on the site, screens case, routes, lead books, things like that. Those are important. And then the Veritech AI integration, which, like I said, is a partner that we work with. It'll auto extract the medical records. So be ready for intake in 5 minutes, because, and I mean, that's more time that you're saving, right? To take a look at that information and it summarize it for you instead of you continually digging through those court documents. So a couple examples that we have here, just for like the sake of time, I'm not going to pull up what all of these look like, but there's the QR codes on there. If you scan those, you can kind of take a look at what those look like, because we have some for law firms, and then we also have some for healthcare. So these websites, how we like to think about the websites is they obviously, I think it's important for the website to look really good. Obviously, when we get on a website, we're going to say, oh, this looks good, and it's going to look professional. That's a big component, but also what's just as important is qualifying the leads, having a streamlined follow-up, and just reduce the overall workload when it comes to understanding how that works from people coming to your website. And a question I guess you want to ask yourself is, is my website good enough to capture somebody's attention? Or, and then is it good enough? Is it an easy enough process for somebody to convert to a potential client after that? Because that's the big thing. I mean, we live in a world that's super convenient, everything that we do, right? So if it's not an easy, streamlined process, people are just going to kind of go somewhere else. So you have to have, there's a lot of things when it comes to your website, but you want to look at that as kind of like the centralized point or the hub of your overall marketing efforts. And then having a competitive advantage over your competition in your space, staying ahead of other practices in your market, AI intelligence that monitors and optimizes things continuously, and then strategic advantages through data driven insights. So when we look at this stuff, so I don't know if anybody here is like a big reader, but I like to listen to books when I'm at the gym or if I'm reading after work or something like that. There was one example from a book that I read recently. It's called Influence on the Psychology of Persuasion. And he talked about how when people have good reviews, whether it's like Amazon or Google reviews, or just it's a demonstration of social proof, the amount of chances that that person, if somebody's looking into you, if you have good reviews compared to bad reviews, it's almost, I wouldn't say it's impossible to get good business with bad reviews, but if you're unless your reviews are good, especially in comparison to the competition in your area, it's going to be a lot harder. So what the tool that we're talking about here is having like real-time tracking across all platforms. So I'm a big believer if you're somebody writes you a Google review, you go in there as the business owner, the person to respond to them and say, "Hey, thank you so much." Or if it's a negative review, say, "Sorry about this. Is there anything we could do to kind of fix or anything?" And be engaged with those. But if you get a lot of reviews, it may be hard to like keep track of all of them. So having the AI that tracks all of this and say, "Okay, if somebody gives you a bad review, it'll give you an alert, or if it same thing if it gives you a good one." And then if you're on social media, which I'm assuming a lot of people here are, like social media, like mention monitoring. So like if somebody tags you, I don't know, for me, I get a lot of notifications. If somebody tag, it's always kind of like hard to keep up with it. So that's something that I can do is kind of keep track of the people who mention you on those platforms, and then having a competitor reputation analysis and crisis system alerts. So with the competitor reputation analysis, just really understanding things when it comes to how you measure up in terms of your competition. If you're a personal injury lawyer in a big city, I talked with somebody who was a personal injury lawyer in New York City. There's a lot of competition in that area, right? So how are you measuring up when it comes to, I mean, obviously like your marketing stuff, but what you do as a firm? How are you comparing with their reviews? How are you comparing with their, reviews and everything like that? So, and then having like a response automation. I do think, you could use, like I said, it's good to respond as the real person. You could have AI generated ones for some. It's really up to you. But another thing is having like the right follow up for review requests. So I think that if you're a doctor, having the right follow up is going to yield to people coming back to your business. Obviously, we want to generate new leads, but having the ones that already came in, making sure that process is good, having like AI send out review requests and do the follow up just to kind of see where everything's at. And then reputation repair strategies. So just if somebody's giving you a bad review or something goes wrong, just utilizing that effectively so you can try to get that fixed as best as possible. And then proactive reputation building campaigns. So, reaching out, hey, what do you think? Like if they have been a customer or a client for your company, just come in and say, okay, well, do you like this, this, and this? You're being more proactive and not waiting for the review to actually come in. You're kind of setting those seeds, if that makes sense. And then, so using AI to outthink, not outspend. So Chat GPT, SWOT analysis. So we do this for some of our clients. Like, so being like a legal marketing expert, providing a SWOT analysis for this example, Smith and Jacobs, based on their website content strategy, and then SEO and social proof. So you're doing an analysis to see how you measure up, like we just talked about a bit ago, compared to your competitors, and then having an AI output, and then a high number of like 5-star reviews, clean website, etc. So these are just things that the AI can do to find pieces of improvement for your business. What do the reviews look like? What does the website look like? Things like that. And then also, like, for example, like compare, how do you like when somebody's doing a social media search, or where you guys come up on that too. So a couple more examples that we have here for both healthcare and law firms. So the predictive patient analytics. So this is AI systems that it can identify patient retention risks that trigger like engagement campaigns. So whether it's a question or something that maybe comes up as a concern for somebody to, if they may not go like back to you guys or go somewhere else, it will trigger a campaign or like an engagement strategy to ask some more questions, figure out what their problem is, and see if they're looking to go somewhere else compared to just staying with you and finding out why that is. So overall, just like improving the outcomes of your patients and just understanding, okay, this patient came here, and this goes further than just like marketing too, understanding why somebody would come back to see you, what you do well, where you measure up to your competition. And then our partner, Veritech AI. So just automating the court document processing. So I'm not attorney. I don't know what that is like, but I can imagine that it's a lot to siphon through that paperwork over and over, especially if you have a lot of cases, and then you could focus on kind of more bigger picture stuff for your business. So AI efficiency and scaling. The challenge I think for most people is, you're on this webinar obviously, right, which is great, which means you actually care about trying to grow and get to the place that you're trying to get to. Okay, but you're like, well, how do I do that? Okay, and then utilizing AI to help with that, and just understanding if you want to grow. I think utilizing a tool like AI, or also whether you work with a partner like us, doesn't even have to be us or somebody else, that can really kind of help put that strategy together for you. Because a lot of times if you're just focused head down on what you're doing, it's going to be hard to really scale that like out into what you want. So, like having like a marketing funnel automation. So we talked about this, numerous times already. Conversion. I think that that's the biggest thing, and utilizing some of these tools to convert the visitors into actual clients. So a couple things here. So new visitor to lead magnet to email a nurturing and then consultation booking. So if what a lead magnet is, if say for example you are a personal injury lawyer, you have an ebook on your website that talks about different things, that asking the right questions to see if it's potentially going to be like a winning case, or anything like that. Anything that's just like educational, and people put their email in, and you could send them information, and then nurturing that list that you have, and then eventually getting to like a consultation. Because I think that with the AI, you can trigger things to understand, okay, these are the people in the email campaign that I would want to target for this, and getting really specific with it as well. And then not just from like the conversion perspective, but also from like onboarding, education, upsells, and referrals. So if you want to make sure that when somebody comes on as a client, what does that process look like? Are they wondering what they have to do next? Giving them some education, and then also which will lead to you doing a good job, potential for upsell or like referral opportunities. And then having like seasonal campaigns triggered. So if you're a podiatrist and you're busier in the summer, maybe sending out pieces of information how to avoid, foot pain when you're jogging or golfing or doing something outside, and just kind of continually giving them the right information. Because if somebody doesn't know who you are initially, giving them the right information is what's going to end up attracting them to you, whether it's on your website or whether it's like emails or newsletters that you send out. And if you want to grow and scale, like example that we have here, like if you're a law firm, say, you have two employees and you want to get to, or I'm sorry, you have two practice areas and you want to go to 8 different practice areas without an additional marketing staff. How do I do that? Utilize working with a partner, or figuring out how to do it with AI, and then kind of grow into what you want. Because if you want to grow into that, it's going to be a lot harder if you're just focused on doing all the day-to-day stuff every time. So I'm a big believer in having like numbers and data to back things up. So it's hard to know if you don't have like your numbers when it comes to your marketing or your clients. It's hard to really know, okay, these are the areas of improvement, these are the areas where I'm doing good, and how can I actually improve to get my numbers to where they want to be. So just like start knowing and paying attention. So for example, like marketing spend optimization. So we would say that the top people that we work with, they're typically investing 5 to 10% back into their marketing to end up growing to see the results that they want, understanding what your client lifetime value is. And then we talked about having like seasonal trends before, and then just how your channels perform in general. And we have A/B testing. I'm a big believer in this too. A/B testing, and basically if you're sending out a certain messaging, comparing it to something else that you're sending. If you're talking to somebody, does this work or does this work? If you're just doing the same thing over and over, it's hard to keep track of what's better. There could be a better option out there. You just got to test the two between them. And then budget allocation, campaign optimization, and then ROI tracking. So return on investment. This is big that with the clients that we work with, right? What is your actual ROI? How much more money are you making compared to what you're investing? So a couple more examples here. So when it comes to healthcare, Jane, AI, and Modem, it's basically like EMR integrations for like easy note taking and like patient communication and patient letters. So obviously that's probably a big thing with, you want to know what the situation of the patient is, having really good notes, and then good communication with like sending out letters and things like that. So basically having like a streamlined, easy AI process to keep track of your patients from the notes perspective, or just knowing, okay, this is what we need to do next time, and just keeping everything really organized. So And then for the law firms, Gavel IO, it's a no code approach to legal document automation. So transform a little bit different than our partner we talked about before, but complex legal documents into interactive web-based forms. So with electronic signature. So just making things easier all around for you and your clients. So AI marketing trends for 2025 and 2026. So we use Chat GPT quite a bit. I mean, there's a bunch of different ways that you can utilize that. And then voice AI for hands-free when you're searching voice, or like attorneys near me, or doctors near me, and making sure that the voice prompts, everything like that lines up. And then predictive AI for marketing spend. So tools, it suggests where the reallocation and the budgets go, and then we can utilize it multi-location practices by driving down the CPL by 40%. And then I think this last one here is probably one of the biggest things, is like having AI powered video repurposing. So if you make like a podcast or something like that, or you do a YouTube video, having the AI restructure it into maybe something else, or it can clip it up and you could put it on something like your other social medias. But just kind of repurposing all this stuff and making sure that's also in compliance with everything that you're doing as well. So why most practices fail at marketing? I mean, I would say, so there we have some stuff here, but so too many options, don't know where to start. And I think this is true with AI, with marketing, with anything. If you don't know where to, if you look and say, okay, that's why I'm assuming a lot of you guys signed up for this webinar, to understand, okay, how can I utilize AI? How can I improve my marketing? Because if you try to just search and learn about AI, it's hard to really, there's so much information out there. It's hard to really know where to start. And you're just like, this is too overwhelming. And then it's easy to give up. And then having like the AI need to be connecting within your systems is obviously very important. And compliance, we talked about. And then a technical expertise gap. So working with a partner like us or somebody else, having, because we research this stuff when it comes to the AI, and we're on the cutting edge of how all of this stuff works. So we're able to do that research for you and help you understand that in a simple way, compared to just, doing it where it's, I have to search all this information on my own. And it's just like, back to the first thing, it's too much. And then you just kind of give up. And then not having the time to learn and implement this stuff. So, like I said, we're on the cutting edge, so you don't have to be. So we research and test every single like new marketing AI tool. So, and we also make sure that it's in compliance with everything, and handle the technical integration and setup. So this is, I mean, like we just talked about, if somebody, it's too hard to do the integration or get the process set up, that's another road barrier as well. So we're really good on taking the technology and the marketing pieces that you already have, and making sure it's streamlined in place with everything that you want to be doing. And then optimization updates, and then delivering results, not experiments. So we've been doing this for, our company's been around for about 30 years, and we're big on getting people results, right? So what is your return on investment? Are you getting to the goals that you actually want to get to? And I'm sure for both of doctors and lawyers is the same thing. If you're an attorney and somebody comes to you with a case, you're trying to deliver the result, right? Can you understand what it takes to get to that result? Same thing with this. So just a couple questions here. So like, if you're spending over 10 hours a week on marketing, this is what we talked about on the first slide: inconsistent lead generation, losing potential prospects to competitors, and then you're just too overwhelmed with keeping track of everything. I mean, an extra 15 hours would, I'm assuming, would change your practice. You could focus on, whether you're a doctor, you see more patients during that time. You'll be able to help more people and make more money. Same thing if you're an attorney, you could take on that case that you initially weren't able to have the bandwidth to take it on. You make more money, and then obviously you care about helping your clients. It just is a good win all around. So thank you guys for joining today. So if we obviously have a lot of familiar faces on here, clients that we already work with and help out when it comes to their marketing. But for the folks that aren't, if you're interested, we offer like the first conversation is typically just like a 30-minute to see, okay, this is how we could potentially help you, things like that, and decide, okay, is it, are we going to do things for you or with you? Because what I like to say about what we do, so it's a personalized approach, right? So we can do all the marketing and stuff for you. We can do some with you and you do some, or if you want us to give you the tools and support, we can do that as well. So that's kind of what that initially consists of. See if it's potentially worth working together or not, and kind of going over some of the case studies and the results that we've gotten for people as well. Because like I just mentioned, big on what the results are. If you do this with us for 6, 8, 12 months, this is what it's going to look like, and then put together a plan for that. So Jessica, do you have anything else or?
No, that was great. Great timing, Drew. Look at you. 2:30 right on the button. Awesome. Yeah. If you guys have any questions, AI is like drinking from a fire hydrant, right? So it's really nice to have someone who's tested the tools, worked with clients, um, that has tried and true these strategies. So reach out to Drew at fosterwebmarketing.com. He'd be happy to meet with you. Just take a look at what you've got going on, fill in the gaps. What AI tools do you have? What do you need to really scale and grow? Um, we did have someone raise their hand. Pricing, so what's that? Garnet, it's a free consultation. So if you scan the QR code, meet with Drew. We he's totally complimentary. Let him see what's going on. And then pricing for us is totally custom. So it depends on your goals, your strategies, kind of where you want to go. Everything is very custom to your practice. So meet with Drew and he can definitely discuss
Yeah,
what
there's
that.
no cost in initial. That's just what's an initial call to, get to know you a little bit more, and then obviously like the cost comes down the line depending on what your specific needs and goals are. So cool.
Awesome.
I think we're
Yeah.
good to shut it down, Jessica. Thank you everybody for joining. If you want to talk, feel free to reach out.